Hook. Did you know that without accounting, entire economies would collapse overnight? No banks, no taxes, no businesses, just chaos. Sounds dramatic, but it's completely true. Welcome back. Today we're diving into something that most people completely overlook: the role accounting actually plays in society. Not just in businesses, not just in spreadsheets, but in the real world around you every single day. By the end of this video, you'll understand why accounting is basically the language that keeps modern civilization running, how it protects you as a regular person, and why every major decision in society, from government spending to the price of your groceries, connects back to accounting. Let's get into it. Section 1. Accounting as the language of business. Here's a question. When two companies want to do business together, how do they decide if they can trust each other? They look at the numbers. Financial statements, reports, records. Accounting gives businesses a shared language, a universal system that anyone, anywhere in the world can read and understand. Think about it like this. If you travel to a country that speaks a completely different language, you'd be lost. But if you both speak the same language, suddenly you can communicate, negotiate, and build something together. That's exactly what accounting does for the business world. When a company in Japan wants to invest in a company in Brazil, they both rely on standardized accounting records to make that decision. These records show profits, losses, debts, and assets. Without this shared language, international trade and investment would be nearly impossible. And here's what's fascinating. This language didn't appear overnight. It evolved over centuries, starting with simple ledger books and growing into the complex systems we use today. Which raises a natural question: how did accounting actually develop into something society depends on so deeply? That brings us to our next section. Section 2. The historical development of accounting. Accounting is ancient. We're talking over 7,000 years old. Some of the earliest written records ever discovered weren't stories or laws. They were accounting records. Ancient Mesopotamian civilizations kept track of grain, livestock, and trade using clay tablets. These weren't just random notes. They were systematic records designed to track resources and hold people accountable. Fast forward to Renaissance Italy in the 1400s, and a mathematician named Luca Pacioli published the first known description of double-entry bookkeeping, a system where every transaction is recorded in two places to keep everything balanced. That system, still the foundation of modern accounting today. Why does this history matter? Because it tells us something important. Every time human civilization got more complex, more trade, more governments, more institutions, accounting evolved alongside it. Society demanded better ways to track resources and ensure honesty. Accounting answered that demand. And this naturally leads to one of the most important roles accounting plays in society today: making sure that people in power are honest. So how exactly does accounting keep the powerful accountable? Let's find out. Section 3. Accountability and transparency in society. Imagine you donate money to a charity. You want to know that your money actually went to the cause you care about, right? Or imagine your tax dollars funding a government project. You deserve to know that money was spent properly. This is where accounting becomes more than just numbers. It becomes a tool for justice and transparency. Accounting creates accountability. When organizations, whether they're corporations, governments, or nonprofits, are required to publish financial reports, it forces transparency. It means they can't just quietly move money around without someone noticing. Auditors, regulators, and even the general public can examine these records and ask hard questions. Think about major corporate scandals you might have heard of, companies like Enron or WorldCom. Those scandals were discovered because people started examining the accounting records and found that the numbers didn't add up. Accounting was both the tool used to commit fraud and ultimately the tool used to uncover it. This is why accounting regulations and standards exist. They're not just bureaucratic red tape. They're guardrails that protect investors, employees, and the general public from being deceived. Which makes you wonder, who actually sets these rules, and how do they affect everyday people? That's exactly what we're exploring next. Section 4. Accounting standards and their social impact. There are organizations around the world whose entire job is to establish the rules of accounting. In the United States, you have the Financial Accounting Standards Board, known as FASB. Internationally, there's the International Accounting Standards Board, or IASB. These organizations create the rulebooks that companies must follow when preparing their financial reports. Now, you might be thinking, why should I care about accounting rulebooks? Here's why. These standards directly affect your life. When a bank decides whether to give you a mortgage, they rely on standardized financial information. When a pension fund invests money that will eventually pay your retirement, they depend on accurate financial reporting. When a government decides how much to tax businesses, accounting standards determine what counts as profit. These standards also level the playing field. Without them, companies could report their finances in whatever way made them look best, making it impossible to compare one company to another. Standards create consistency, which creates fairness. But accounting doesn't just respond to society, it actually shapes it. The decisions made by accountants and the financial information they produce influence where money flows, which companies grow, and which ones fail. And that influence reaches into areas you might never expect, like environmental and social responsibility. Let's talk about that right now. Section 5. Accounting and Social Responsibility. Here's a concept that's growing faster than almost anything else in the world of accounting: social and environmental reporting. For a long time, accounting was purely about money. Revenue in, expenses out, what's the profit? But society started asking a bigger question. What about the cost to the environment? What about a company's impact on its community and workers? This gave rise to what's called sustainability accounting, or ESG reporting: environmental, social, and governance. Companies are now expected, and in many places required, to report not just their financial performance, but their environmental footprint, their treatment of employees, and their ethical governance. This shift reflects something powerful. Society is using accounting as a tool to push for a better world. When companies have to measure and report their carbon emissions or their labor practices, it creates pressure to actually improve those things. What gets measured gets managed. This is accounting operating at its highest level, not just tracking money, but tracking the health of communities and the planet itself, and it's still evolving. The role of accounting in society is bigger today than it's ever been, and it's only going to grow. Closing. So let's bring it all together. Accounting is the language of business that makes global trade possible. It has roots stretching back thousands of years, because every complex society needs a way to track resources honestly. It creates accountability and transparency, protecting regular people from fraud and mismanagement. It operates through standards that directly shape financial decisions in your everyday life. And today, it's expanding into social and environmental responsibility, becoming a force for positive change. Accounting isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about trust, fairness, and the systems that hold society together. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more people find this content. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, where we break down the actual financial statements that businesses use. And drop a comment below with one thing that surprised you from this video. I read every single one. See you in the next one.